Tim Blankenship here with divorce661.com. Today we are talking with Patti Handy, who's going to be talking about her new coaching program called Minding Her Money. Hey, Patti, how are you?
Hi, Tim. Doing great. How are you?
Good, good. Good
Good.
to chat with you again. I think I really wanted to do this interview with you because I think it kind of folds in nicely with what I do and some of our client base and so forth. And with all of your experience, I just thought it'd make for an interesting chat.
Great. Yeah, we definitely overlap for sure.
Yeah. So I just have a couple of questions here, and we normally have a pretty good flow just conversation wise, but you want to just introduce yourself and tell us a
Sure.
little bit about what you got going on?
Sure. So I'm Patti Handy, and I am currently a financial advisor and pivoting out of that advisory role into a financial coaching role, specifically for divorced, widowed, and single women. Um, Come from, gosh, too many years in the financial banking world. Prior to having my son, I was in corporate banking. Had my son, he's almost 27 now, so a very long time ago, after divorce. And I went into the mortgage lending world for a long time, which allowed me to work part time and work at home and have some flexibility with my schedule to raise him, which was obviously my priority. And then most recently have been again a financial advisor with Vance Wealth. And beginning late April, I will be pivoting out of that, like I said, to the coaching world. And it really came from a place of something that's been on my heart for a very long time. But after many conversations with women, both in the mortgage world and in the financial world, that were either divorced, widowed, or single, there were so many conversations around just lack of understanding, embarrassment. There's some shame around it. Um, just a very different conversation with women than I had with men. And I really wanted to empower these women and to stop that in my little world here. Stop the feeling of that lack of confidence, the financial confidence. So my program is encompassing that entire peace of mind and just gaining financial confidence.
Okay. And what it really inspired you to do this? I know you have like a lot of different financial backgrounds. You said banking, mortgage industry, wealth management, and that kind of has been whether it was your intention or not, it kind of was a roadmap to be a perfect setup for what you're now starting to do.
Yeah, it really has. I think, there's no coincidences, and I think that all of our roadmaps in life lead us to our end purpose. And I really feel, like I said earlier, this has been something on my heart for a very long time. Really, after my divorce, I knew I wanted to do something to help, you know, other women who were going through that. But yeah, I mean the educational background, the emotional background of going through a divorce and navigating that experience, being a single parent, um, and just that like anything, you can't talk about it unless you live it.
Sure.
And if you're not divorced, God bless you, but you don't understand what divorce life is like. And so I know the road. I know or I understand my road. I should clarify that. The road that I experienced going through divorce, and kind of soaring solo in life is what I call it. So that has also, yeah, definitely played a part. I got a certification in executive coaching as well as life coaching, which combine that with the like again the divorce. I think it's all sort of come to a head where all of this is going to help, and that's really what I want to do is just help and serve as many women as I can navigate. Being alone and being financially independent.
Gotcha. You're saying that the conversations you have with women were different than the men. Can you expand on that? Like what some of those different challenges were?
Yeah, it's interesting. I heard a quote on a podcast some time ago that men look at investing as a challenge, and women look at investing as a threat. And I once I heard that, and I thought, gosh, that's
Interesting.
so true based on. Oh, did I lose you? No, we're good.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. I think we lost. Well, I'll repeat
We
that saying in
glitched a
case
little
it
bit.
was
It's okay.
okay. I'll repeat that in case I missed that because it was so important. It was a quote that I heard on a podcast some time ago that men look at investing as a challenge and women look at investing as a threat. And it sort of just was validation of everything that I had sort of seen and heard in my years working with women. Again, there was just a lot of embarrassment and shame, and I should know this, and why don't I know this? And my husband always took care of this, but I should have known better. A lot of that kind of verbiage would come out of the mouths, and I didn't hear that from men. Men just were confident in their decision making, and they just did what they had to do. Um, and it might be that women just spoke more openly and were more vulnerable. I can't really say, but I did hear a lot of that from women, and that's again the sort of the match under my you know backside to to really launch this and help women.
So do you think the root of it was that they didn't handle the finances prior to being divorced or widowed,
Yeah,
and that this is all new to them?
yeah. For
Is
the
that
most
the
part, I have spoken to ladies who had if they were divorced or widowed, they for the most part the husbands took care of the finances, and a lot of times they didn't have conversations, which is also surprising. Even if you had a very happily wonderful marriage, both spouses should make those decisions together. They should have a money date, I call it, once a month or once a quarter, and just kind of review what they're doing. Both spouses should know where all the paperwork is and where all the accounts are at, and about what the balances are. And that goes for debts as well. If you've got credit card debts or other debts, because God forbid something happen, that spouse that's left is in trouble if they don't know. And I do have some ladies who are the ones who take control of the finances. In my marriage, I was the one that managed the money. My husband, ex-husband, didn't know anything. So if something happened to me, he'd be in trouble. He wouldn't know where anything was. And back then, it was a long time ago. We didn't have those money dates. We didn't have those conversations like, okay, here's where the accounts are at, and here's where the debt statements are, and whatnot. Um, so I definitely encourage husbands and wives to have those conversations and to work those things together, because stuff happens. We just don't know when and how. And so I think it's very smart. And those ladies who are on their own, who aren't divorced or widowed, just they're single in life. They obviously are taking care of their own monies, but they're not always confident in the investing aspect. And then they know how to manage and pay bills and budget and whatnot. But when it comes to investing and looking at tax strategies and tax planning, they're a little confused as to what that looks like. And not all, obviously. There are some, there's a lot of very brilliant, savvy financial women out there.
of course.
But for those that aren't, I definitely want to help those.
Okay. I was going through your because this is called Minding Her Money. That's the kind of the group coaching course you've created, correct?
Yes.
So I was going through it just a bit, and you'd commented about how there's a lot of other types of courses like this, but that people may have spent money and time investing in these other types of courses, and that maybe only to make them more confused. Can you talk more a little bit about the difference with your course and your method and your training, as opposed to what else is out there as far as what might be causing this further confusion?
Yeah, there's a lot of, if you were to Google or go onto YouTube, I mean, there's a ton of financial education, and it's hard to know who to trust, and what information is factual. So a lot of that is out there. I cover a lot of what's out there, and I cover a lot of what's not out there, and I'll explain. The course itself is comprised of a video course. So you've got a lot of little video courses, if you will, that cover there's 9 modules, there's various topics. But combined with the video course that you can take on your own time and watch at your own, your own pace, we have weekly coaching calls. So you're on the coaching call with me live, and I give the opportunity to have a client in the hot seat, if you will, where I coach them directly, and then we can have those kind of in-depth conversations. And oftentimes, ladies learn from each other. So if one lady's in the hot seat, the others will obviously learn. So this course is 90 days in total. And over that 90 days, again, we meet once a week. So it's a combination of the video course along with the coaching. And I'll kind of digress for 1 second here. The mechanics of money, understanding what to do with your money, how to invest it. That's one very small piece of being financially comfortable, financially independent. Our subconscious mind, that's a whole other conversation. But at the end of the day, our subconscious mind really dictates 95% of what happens in our world. And what happens is our subconscious mind is running in the background, so to speak, and we make decisions based off our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions that we have been, I've been taught from a very young age. So if we have this lack mentality or abundant mentality, or if we have this fear-based mentality, we're making decisions based on that. So a lot of our decisions financially are based off of our limiting beliefs and our money story, which we talk about in the course as well. So a lot of that you won't see online in conjunction with the mechanics and the strategies of money. So it's a blend of all that. The course also incorporates self-care, and I know that's a very big subject, but we go into some really important self-care things that we do for ourselves as women, which is so important because oftentimes we're taking care of everyone else, that we don't take care of ourselves. And if our cup is empty, then we can't help anyone else. I can go into organizing your documents and how what that looks like. I talk about getting your credit score back if your credit was hurt with a divorce or losing your spouse. There's lots of myths out there about how to get your credit score up, and I tell you the reality of what to do and what not to do. We talk about investing, obviously. We talk about retirement and leaving a legacy. Buying a home, if you're buying a home on your own, what that looks like as far as qualifying. So I tie in a lot of my mortgage experience with that, because you're now qualifying as a single person, not as a married couple. So it's very comprehensive. It's very all-inclusive with regards to helping somebody, jumpstart their life again. And again, it's not just the financial and the mechanics and the tax planning piece. It's also the limiting beliefs, the mindset, and really how we think. And we get into that. And that's a whole nother episode for the future.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was looking at your Minding Her Money, the website, kind of the breakdown, if you will, of kind of how it flows into the course. I imagine you have these 3 phases: foundation, strategy, and freedom, and then you have certain things that you cover. I think that's kind of what you're just talking about now. You kind of build on each of them.
Yeah. So they're individual, but I do like to start the foundation phase. The foundation phase is 3 modules, and then the strategy phase is 3 modules, and then the freedom stage is 3 modules. So we cover each module in each week, and then we have some extra weeks there to go a little bit deeper in some other subjects. But yeah, for anybody interested, the website is just Patti, my name, pattihandy.com. And then you can follow the Minding Her Money link and then book a call with me. And then we can go, a little bit deeper into your personal situation and determine if it's a right fit for you.
What is your goal? I did see you have those consultations. What are you trying to uncover in those conversations to see if they would be, a good fit or find your course useful?
Yeah, so I like to get a background on where they're at with things, with their life. It's a 30-minute conversation. Obviously, we don't cover everything in 30 minutes, but I get an idea as to whether this is a good fit for them with regards to if they're in the middle of a divorce and things are still very messy. We might need to wait until things get a little bit more solidified after the divorce. It really depends. I mean, I've had some ladies who I've spoken to as a wealth advisor who need the help even with in the middle of a divorce, because there's a lot of emotional support as well as the tactical support that goes through that. But it's really taking a deeper dive into what their situation is. So it's not me talking very much. It's me asking questions and listening to what their issues are. So it's really them talking, not me.
Gotcha. How do you plan to how are people able to find you and know that you're offering this course? How are you what kind of outreach are you doing, or how are you, finding making yourself available for people to find you and do this and work
Yeah,
with you?
great question. So this is a start. Doing podcasts. I do plan on being on some more podcasts, and hopefully do a podcast on my own in the future. But it's really social media marketing. It's reaching out to individuals that I know, um, circle of influence individuals that I know. At some point, I might do some ads, paid ads. I'm not sure. I'd like to build this organically, and just
Yeah.
word of mouth and have people share my opportunity, and hopefully we can book a call and have a conversation together. And
Gotcha.
those 30-minute calls are complimentary. There's no charge for those calls. And um, I'm not a people who know me know that I'm not a hardcore salesperson. If it's not a fit, or it's not a fit, it is what it is. It may be not now, but it could be later. So
Yeah.
booking a call, I know sometimes scares people that, oh gosh, they're going to hound me and try to sell me something.
Mm.
And that's not what I'm about. I show them what the offering is. And if they like it, great. If they don't, that's good too.
Yeah. No,
So
I think organic growth is the best way to go. I had
yeah.
some questions about your phase 3, the freedom phase. You talk about investing, financial freedom, retirement, and legacy. And with your background in wealth management and mortgages, how deep are you still offering that type of wealth management, or where does the where do you draw the line on what you help them with as far as your course and with what you're doing with this the course in general?
Yeah. So as a financial coach, I'm not doing any advice. As a financial advisor, I will no longer be a financial advisor. In about a month is when I'm leaving Vance Wealth. But the role as a coach is just that, as a coach, and educator. So in coaching, there is a lot of, again, questions that I'm asking, to you know uncover what's going on in their world, which is where the hot seats come in. And then I also offer one-on-one coaching through that group coaching program. That's a value added that I offer. But I'm not giving them advice. Like, I'm not going to tell them which fund to invest in, go to this place and invest in this fund. But financial education is as important. So the module 7 and 8, one is called Badass Investing, and the other one is Financial Freedom. And that goes into, for those that are uncomfortable, or, a little bit newer to the investing world, I talk about just some of the basic terminology. I don't want to confuse people with lingo. I think a lot of people use confusing lingo to, sound a certain way, and I just want to keep it simple. Here's what this is, and explain what the difference is. And this sort of lay the groundwork out so that they feel comfortable when they're having a conversation. And if they decide to hire a financial advisor, they'll know the right questions to ask. And when that financial advisor uses particular lingo, they'll understand what that means.
Right.
The financial freedom module gets a little bit deeper. We go into some tax strategies and tax planning, what might make sense for them, the different types of IRA and retirement options that they should consider. So again, it's more educational. It's not advice. I'm not going to tell them, oh, you should consider a Roth conversion, because that's not what happens for everybody. A Roth conversion may not make sense for somebody, but I'll explain what a Roth conversion is and where it plays a part in our lives. And that's a big difference. And then if they want a financial advisor, I can certainly refer them. And then the retirement and legacy piece is just taking a deeper dive into, look into their lives. Like, are they at a place where they have some unfinished business? Do they want to reach out to loved ones and have conversations? What legacy do they want to leave? Do they want to make sure they leave a video to their great grandkids who they'll never meet, but hey, it would be fun to have them see me when I was younger. And then just retirement planning, and it's, that piece is really interesting. The research that I've done on that, there's so many statistics showing that once people retire, and if they don't have a purpose and they don't have anything to do or anywhere to go, they're not social, they're not in community, there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of what they think is, oh, I now have freedom, I can go and just do what I want. And that's great if you're involved with golf or pickleball, or you're involved with friends and you have groups, that's wonderful. But those that are at home sitting watching TV all day, it's extremely unhealthy, not only physically but mentally and emotionally. So we talk about just that, living a purposeful life, and how to get involved and stay involved and find things to do, and just, again, that's taking care of yourself. And there's many people that I've seen where they retired and then they go back to work because they're miserable. They are bored out of their mind. They're they don't wake up in the morning with anything to do, and they gotta do something with themselves. So they may not go back to their original job, but they'll find something to do in some capacity that brings them more joy, or they'll volunteer. They'll go to Wisconsin Gardens and work in the gardens, or they'll do things that brings them joy. And
Right.
so that's also important. So that's where it also becomes very comprehensive. We uncover lots of things in the program.
Gotcha. So education versus advice. Do you see yourself not partnering necessarily, but kind of having like a referral list of people you trust if people do, reach out and say, based off this course, I do want to maybe do some investing. Do you see yourself having kind of those referral partners that you can set people up with that and trust?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question. CPAs, estate planning attorneys, financial planner, they're therapists, it runs the gambit. So I'll usually give a couple names, and they can then interview and decide who they want to use, for a couple of reasons. One, it's just important to see what personality resonates with you. I mean, even as a financial advisor now, if somebody wants a referral to a CPA or an attorney, I'll give them 2 or 3 names, just because it's good for them to chat with a few different people. Plus, it takes the liability off of me to say, oh, you told me to go to so and so. This way they can have a conversation and determine which makes the most sense and what feels good for them.
Sounds good. I wanted to ask you just a last question, then let me know if there's something I didn't ask or should have asked. But I think we talked about quite a bit of it. But
Sure.
this is the question I came up with: is what advice would you give to women who are going through a divorce, or dealing with the loss of a spouse, or just navigating life as a single woman? Like in that, like what advice would you give them? Say specifically if they're thinking about they might be going through a divorce, or they're about to start the divorce process, or maybe even in the middle of one.
So if they're that fresh and raw, so to speak, in that process, they're most likely in a very vulnerable position. I would say if you're talking to an advisor, or you're talking to somebody that you know and trust and you have dealt with in the past, that's wonderful. I don't know that I would recommend making a big life decision in that vulnerable state. I think the focus should be on self-care. The focus should be on setting yourself straight. And that might take a little while, just depending upon the circumstances. But it's so important to make those kinds of very impactful decisions from a place of knowledge and calm and clarity, not from a place of, oh my gosh, I'm fearful, I need to do something. Okay, let's just do this. Because oftentimes that can be the bad, wrong decision. And it could be expensive. So be mindful of where you're at. And as women, I think it's also important that we know we've got a very strong intuition. And if it's intuitively just doesn't feel right for you, then just push pause and wait. If anybody tries to push something on you in an urgent fashion, that's a red light in my book. I think that's something you should be mindful of. That if it doesn't, sound right, feel right, look right, just walk
Trust your
away.
gut.
Yeah, trust your gut, trust your
Yeah.
intuition for sure.
Okay. So kind of if they're in the middle of a divorce, if I understand you correctly, kind of maybe they need to let the dust settle, handle one thing at a time, and then start to rebuild after that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, again, if they're working with a financial advisor that they've been working with, and we've had clients like this at Advanced Wealth, where we managed the couple and they're our clients for years, and then one of them passes away. We have that relationship with the spouse. We have that history with the spouse. They should then trust that relationship. If we're advising the husband or the wife, it's based on their knowledge, their history, their we know their backstory.
Right.
That's a different situation than if you are to just if somebody calls you or somebody reaches out to you and they're trying to sell you an insurance policy or an annuity or some product that you don't know anything about and you don't know them. That's where I say push pause. But if you're dealing with a person that you've known and trust, then heed that recommendation, because again, they're coming from a place of knowing the couple from the beginning and knowing your history, and that's really important. If you have that in place, that's wonderful.
Yeah, sounds good. Maybe we can, as you're talking, there is so much you can talk about that we could probably do 20, 30 minutes on hundreds of individual topics that kind of overlap in
Yeah,
our industries.
definitely. And I think that something that I said earlier, I'll kind of come back to. There's the tactical stuff that has to happen. There's the action steps, the strategy, so to speak, and then there's the intangible sort of self-care, um, understanding our mind, understanding our mindset, understanding our belief systems and why we do what we do. And that's a different piece. And they work together, they work in tandem. And oftentimes we're looking at just the tactical stuff when it comes to um, getting through the divorce and just, I gotta do.
Right.
Oftentimes you got to step back and go, okay, what do I need to do? Take a breath. I need to take some time to digest this. I need to take time to process this and understand what this is. I've also said to many individuals, if someone's trying to sell you a product or service and you cannot explain it to a fourth grader, you shouldn't be investing or buying into it. Because if you don't understand it completely, it's not something you should be buying into. If you like what you see and you want to learn more, that's great. Do that. Learn more. I'm not saying everything is bad that's complicated by any stretch, but if you don't understand something, then that means you should, at that point, you should not invest in it until you understand it completely and have, all your questions answered.
Sounds good. Well, it was always, as always, it's a pleasure speaking with you. And the course is called Minding Her Money and can be found at pattyhandy.com. That's where they can get started, correct?
Yes, Patty with an I, Handy with a Y, so PATTIHANDY.com. Just click the Minding Her Money link and they'll take you to a thing where you can download a roadmap. It's the 9 modules that we talked about, and sort of the starting point is what you should be doing as you're going through this process. And then you can book a call with me and we can jump on a call. Again, it's 30 minutes and we'll take a little bit deeper dive into your situation.
Perfect. As always, great talking with you, Patty. We'll have to do it again soon.
Thank you, Tim. Sounds great.
All right. Take care.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
Bye-bye.